Hello everyone, today I will be sharing with you one of my stories, and this story is called Downpour Sneeze. I hope you enjoy it. Most people view rainy days as cold, dark, and dreary, and I used to think so too until I started writing. And once I started, I realized that rainy weather actually isn't as cold, dark, and dreary as most people look at it as. Now, sure, it still is to a point, but it's actually really good weather for when you're writing. So, I've actually come to really appreciate rainy days. You feel all warm and cozy inside your house, and to me, being warm and cozy inside your house on a cold, rainy day with a cup of tea and working on your newest project, to me, that's paradise. Absolute paradise. And currently, I'm working on a new story about this girl who finds this old dusty book, and every time she opens it up, dust pours out of it, going into her nostrils, making her sneeze. And other than writing and a few other things, sneezing is one of my absolute favorite things. And I love sneezing so much to where I put it in some of my stories. In fact, some of my stories, well, to be honest, most of them are just about sneezing instead of just having parts in it where some of my characters do sneeze. And I feel as I'm writing more and more, I'm writing more and more where characters not only just have a moment or two in the story where they sneeze, but a whole story that's about sneezing. But whatever I come up with, either if it's just a part where one of my characters sneeze or if they sneeze through most of the story, I absolutely love to write. It's one of my favorite things to do. Again, other than sneezing, of course. In fact, another thing I really love doing on cold, wet, dreary days is making myself sneeze. I have this little closet that I don't have that much in, and I like to get in there, keep the door open, of course, since I am a little claustrophobic. I do like to go in there and just sit and relax and tickle my nose to my heart's content. I also like to sit in there and write too, but I mostly write at my desk on my laptop. But to sneeze, this closet is absolutely perfect. I love sitting in there, either picking up one of my feathers and tickling my nose, or a Q-tip, or even little pepper packets. But my absolute favorite way to make myself sneeze is a feather. Even though they don't work that well for me, I do love using a feather. There's just something about a sneeze with a feather that really feels so good. It's like the tickle is completely different than a tickle you get from a Q-tip or pepper. I don't know, it's just something about it just really feels good and different to me. I can't really explain it, but I just really love making myself sneeze with a feather. But even though the tickle from a feather is absolutely pleasant and delightful, on this particular day, I had a sneezing experience that I have never had and probably may never have again. It was on a cold, dreary, rainy day, and let's just say it was pretty unexpected, but very interesting. I was sitting at my desk writing, working on my newest project, when my dog came up to me, started barking and scratching my leg. I looked down at her as she stood on her back legs and batted her two front paws at me. I knew when she did that, she'd have to go out. Alright, lady, I'll take you out, I say as I get up reluctantly. Even though I like rainy days, I don't like being out in them. I prefer to stay in all day, nice and cozy, work on my stories, or make myself sneeze, or even read a book or watch one of my favorite movies or shows. Those are my favorite rainy day activities. But I know that my little Cocker Spaniel Lady, who I named after Lady from Lady and the Tramp, one of my absolute favorite movies of all time, needed to go out. And I was not having her going to the bathroom on my new clean carpets I just had cleaned 2 weeks ago. I then walk over to a little stand near the front door that has Lady's leash on it. I then clip it to her collar and open up my umbrella, knowing that I was going to need it on this rainy day. I then step outside and watch the rain pour down. Oh great, I think to myself, not only is it raining, but it's pouring, and it's pouring bad. Lady then pulls on her leash, really needing to go to the bathroom. So I step out of my house, making sure I have my keys with me, and take her down the street a little way so she can go to the bathroom. Now, unlike most dogs, Lady is very particular. I think Lady is a good name for her because not only does she resemble Lady from Lady and the Tramp to a T, but her personality fits it to a T as well. This dog is the most ladylike dog I've ever seen in my life. And she's very particular. She likes her food a certain way. I'm not joking. I have to stir her food with my finger just so she'll eat it. In fact, sometimes I joke that next she'll want her food served on a silver platter and want me to pour gravy over her dog food. But other than her eating habits, Lady is also particular in other ways. For an example, when I have to take her to the bathroom, she won't go right in front of the house. There's some bushes that are very old and I've been meaning to pull up that she could just as easily go to the bathroom on, but no. Lady likes to walk down the street and go to the bathroom on the fire hydrant that's just a few blocks down from the house. Why she chooses this specific fire hydrant when there is one actually a little bit closer to the house, I will never understand. And I've heard that dogs use the bathroom on a fire hydrant, but still, why a fire hydrant? Why the specific one? I'm telling you, I just do not understand this dog. She's very particular, and to be honest, that's putting it mildly. Then, once Lady uses the bathroom, I finally am able to get back to my writing, and maybe even have a little sneeze session once I get back in the house. I then start to walk down the street, anxiously waiting for the moment when I can finally sit back down at my computer and work on my story. I'm almost done. And then, I think after that, I'll have a little sneeze session, I think to myself. But my sneeze session actually comes a little sooner than expected. Because as I'm walking down the street, I feel raindrops hitting my head. I look up and notice that my umbrella has some holes in it. What? How did that happen? I asked. I then think back at when I had my stuff in storage, and I remember that mice had gotten to some of my stuff before I had moved into my new house. Oh, that's just great, I think to myself, knowing that the mice probably got to my umbrella. Man, mice. I really should probably consider getting a cat. At least, I probably should have gotten a cat then. I don't need one now, I think to myself. Plus, Lady would kill it. She might be a lady in some areas, but she's still a dog, and she's also a dog that hates cats. And I mean, really hates them. She sheds off her ladiness and shows more of her tramp side when there's a cat or even a squirrel anywhere near her or me. Then once I see that my umbrella has a hole in it, actually several holes in it, I start running towards the house with Lady running beside me a little faster than I'm running. Then as I'm running, a raindrop hits my nose, And this was the interesting part. Something really interesting happened once this specific raindrop touched my nose. I started to feel a tickle rising up inside. I couldn't understand what was going on, but I felt a sneeze coming on. I then stopped, feeling a really deep tickling sensation inside of my nose. It was a tickle like I'd never felt before. It was it was intense, ticklish, and it honestly felt good. I had never felt a tickle like this before, not even with tickling my nose with a feather. The tickle was really hard to describe. It was really hard to describe, other than it wasn't like the kind of tickle I had gotten from a feather or a Q-tip or even the pepper. It was really pleasant, strong, but not super ticklish to where I felt like I was going to sneeze right away. I stood there on the sidewalk, feeling the deep and strange tickling sensation inside of my nose. Then as I stood there with Lady by my side looking up at me, I'm sure she was wondering what was going on with me. But I didn't know that myself, other than I felt like I had to sneeze. I then put my hand close to my mouth, but then moved my arm closer to my nose and face so I could sneeze into my arm. But as I did, the tickle got even stronger and stronger, but I just wouldn't sneeze. I felt like I was just seconds away from sneezing, but the sneeze just wouldn't come. I just felt the tickle grow and grow, but nothing came out. I stood there in the pouring rain, waiting for the sneeze to finally come. I know I probably should have kept walking, but the tickle sensation in my nose was so strange, and all my attention was focused on this amazing but strange tickle I was feeling in my nose. I couldn't understand what was going on. What was causing such an interesting, intense tickle? I know that the raindrop hit my nose and that's when I started feeling the tickle, but I still didn't understand it. It had dropped on my nose, not inside of my nose. And the outside of my nose isn't that sensitive. I've had raindrops drop on my nose before and I didn't sneeze. So I couldn't really understand what was going on. But I did know that this tickle sensation was very intense. It's like it was trying to take over my whole entire body. I then continued to stand there in the pouring rain, waiting for this strange sneeze to happen. And finally, I feel my eyes start to close, and the deep, intense tickle began to get even more intense, and finally I let out a sneeze. Finally, I let out a sneeze. Then, after I let out the sneeze, I felt more coming. The intense feeling grew and grew, and as I stood there, I could feel my nostrils flaring and my eyes starting to close. And as my eyes started to close, I almost felt a little sleepy. I couldn't understand what was going on with me, but then finally I let out another sneeze. And then another one and another one. 3 right back to back. And I usually don't have 3 back-to-back sneezes. 2, yes, but 3, no. Not even when I'm sick. Then I felt the tickle once again, and my eyes started to close, and I moved my arm up to my face so I could sneeze into it like before. The tickle was very strong, and I feel like with each sneeze I did, the tickle got stronger, and I sneezed more and more. Then finally, after after I sneezed what felt like 15,000 times, I finally caught my breath and looked down at Lady, who looked up at me with a curious look on her face. "I don't know what's going on," I panted, feeling another tickle starting to rise up in my nose. "I just keep having to sneeze. I don't understand why. Why am I feeling like I need to sneeze so much, and why am I sneezing so much? I don't understand." I then reach up and wipe my nose with my sleeve. Now I'm gonna have to clean my coat, I say, still feeling stuffy and feeling like I need to sneeze. The tickle in my nose starts off small, but it quickly begins to grow and grow. My eyes begin to close, and like before, I feel a little sleepy, and it's like I'm relaxed. It was the strangest thing. It honestly felt good, but also kind of scary and strange all at the same time. I've never had a sneezing experience quite like this before. Then, as I finally let out another sneeze, 5 more followed, and then an intense tickle, and then 6 more sneezes, and then, from what I counted, I sneezed 15 times in a row, but it felt like 15,000. And while I'm sneezing, it's raining all around me, and I feel like I can hardly focus, so I can get inside and finish having my sneezing fit in there so I can get myself and Lady out of the rain. But the sneeze is so intense, it's all I'm focused on. It's like I can't hardly move my feet to go back in the direction of our house and get my dog out of the rain and also get myself out of the rain. And as I stand there, a flood of sneezes and tickles then wash over me, and it's like I'm having my own downpour of sneezes. It's pouring rain all around us, and while the rain is pouring, the sneezes are pouring out of me. Then finally, when I finally feel a little relief, I then take that opportunity and run back towards the house. Then once I'm in front of the house, I quickly open the door and shake off my umbrella outside and put it beside the door inside of the house. Lady shakes the water off of her fur, and I unclip her leash and put it back on the stand. I then walk into my bathroom and blow my nose. My nose is red and a little puffy, and my nose feels like I just sneezed 15,000 sneezes in a row. Or maybe even 50,000 instead of just 15,000. Then, a few hours later, I have completely recovered, but my nose still feels a little off from the downpour of sneezes that I had had. And that's how I describe it, a downpour of sneezes. I don't know of any other way to describe it, but it was the weirdest experience I had ever had, and I have not had another experience like that since. And even though I still love sneezing and love writing about sneezing, I'm not sure if I would want to go through that again. Or at least I don't think I would want to sneeze that much again. But would I want to feel that amazing tickle again? Yes. Now that I would like to experience again. But all that sneezing? No way. Not all at the same time. The end. I hope you all enjoyed this.